What is going on, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? My name is Prodigy and welcome to our video on the channel. Today I want to share two very interesting pieces of information I was made aware of the past couple of months. These two pieces of info have to do with Final Fantasy Versus 13 Noctis and Yozora, which might give us more insight into Yozora's powers based on the inspiration behind it. So early in April, I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw a picture of a Reddit post about Noctis, specifically Noctis from an early Final Fantasy Versus 13 trailer from the later 2000s. This post pointed out how whenever Noctis teleports, his hair turns white, making him look kinda similar to Yozora. This by itself could just be a complete coincidence, but looking into a couple of things, it becomes a lot more interesting and makes a cool point for discussion about Yozora's powers and the secret behind who he actually could be with some additional info. I've analyzed a few of the frames where this happens, and it is indeed true. This possibly could be just a specific style of brightness they did for Noctis, and when he charges up to teleport, or just a aesthetic choice. Though his hair doesn't seem to just be brightened up, it completely turns white. You can take up some screenshots of Noctis and turn up the brightness a bit, and while it will get close to this, it won't look like this exactly. Now, I'm no expert at game design or CG trailers, so I have no idea what method they used for this, so I'm speaking based on what I've seen and messed with myself. This alone doesn't mean much, and as I said, could just be a aesthetic choice. But another detail I found out about after a discussion with some friends made me look at this piece of info a little bit differently. Yozora has both red and blue eyes. This again could just be an aesthetic choice, but if we went with a real world explanation of this would be called heterochromia. Heterochromia is when a person's eyes are two different colors. This can be hereditary, but can also be due to injury. We'll not be going into extreme detail about this today, but just know that much for the sake of this video. Feel free to research more on your own if you want to. The reason this does hold some sort of significance is because Noctis naturally has blue eyes, but his eyes have often turned red when using his powers. Bizarrely enough, Yozora happens to have both of these eye colors, and in fact a similar thing happens when Yozora uses some of his powers. His eyes also light up red, specifically his red eye lights up. Additionally, there's cases of his eyes lighting up blue when using moves like his lasers. I was made aware and discussed this with a user and 3D artist and modder named Somnus on Twitter, who you can find down below in the description. They provided me with screenshots of Yozora doing this, which are hard to get without mods. I also managed to grab a few angles myself during the fight to much difficulty, just so you can see this at multiple angles. So with that, it's clear that his eyes have something to do with his powers, and it's mighty convenient that Noctis happens to switch between both of those eye colors. This on top of Yozora saying things like, "This isn't what I really look like," just makes things all the more interesting. So the white hair when Noctis teleports, the red eyes when using powers despite them being blue otherwise, Yozora having both eye colors which seem to be connected to his powers, both eyes lighting up when using them in certain instances. On top of Yozora saying this isn't what I really look like, this not being his real appearance. They even zoom in on Yozora's eyes in the version of the secret episode where he beats Sora, which based on previous Kingdom Hearts twists like Xigbar being Lushu, or even just some older Xehanort cutscenes, Nomura likes to do this a lot when hinting at greater plot points. So is Yozora really just Versus 13 Noctis? I personally doubt it. I doubt they're the exact same. But the similarities are clearly there, and the inspiration and the spin on this story is bound to happen. And this info just makes his powers and his identity even more mysterious than it already is. This scene in Kingdom Hearts Dark Road was never explained. After an encounter with Hades, all of Xehanort's classmates except for Bragi and Baldur get sucked into a portal out of nowhere. A very abrupt ending to Olympus Coliseum. But after this happens, Hades says all that angst and for what? And then turns around and says, "You." ... with a surprised expression and with his eyes being wide opened. Now, I just assumed at the time that this scene would be elaborated on later, being some surprise character reveal or something, maybe a Lushu, maybe a Master of Masters, but nope, it wasn't elaborated on at all. Some people go back to this scene and assume it was Baldur Hades was saying this too, but I don't know, something about that just feels weird, since they never touched up upon it in that game itself, even after both Baldur and Bragi's reveals at the end of the game. So it seems kind of bizarre to leave a loose end like that. Something that would naturally, when going unexplained, would make people ponder. So a viewer in my live stream the other day came up with a very interesting theory, which you should totally come to our live streams, by the way. We have a ton of fun, lots of discussions, lots of mods, and it's always just a very good time. If you want to catch one, you should make sure to, subscribe. Anyways, I'm sorry. So a viewer came to my stream and said how they think the person Hades is talking to is Donald and Goofy from the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, which sounds crazy. I initially didn't think too much of it, but I was like, it sounds possible. Especially knowing how crazy things can get when it comes to the Key Saga, this was not the wildest thing I've ever heard. Just one of them. So after the live stream, I was still kind of pondering this comment, and it turns out, upon thinking about it, that this theory actually could have a lot of merit to it. There's something there. Just some small things that support this idea. For starters, is the way that worlds work in an interesting way in Dark Road. Worlds flow on their own time, compared to a universal time most worlds seem to flow on in the era we're in, starting with Birth by Sleep, or that we thought worlds flowed on. Instead, with the worlds in Dark Road, a reason you see characters like the Queen, Hades, Beast, Jafar, and etc. is because these worlds are somewhat frozen in time to a degree, or their time is moving really slowly. This I kind of always thought was just a writing excuse to reuse worlds in games that took place during the Key timeline. In Kingdom Hearts Key, the reasoning for visiting these worlds was that they were projections from the Book of Prophecies, aka Data worlds. However, in Dark Road, we are visiting real versions of these worlds, but since the worlds are still somewhat recently separated in Dark Road's timeline, they still need time to sort of catch up. So all the worlds are moving at their own sort of isolated pace. Because worlds work at this pace, events that happen in the worlds for the Disney characters, at least certain ones, could be happening at a way faster pace than we imagine, or a way slower one, depending on the world. It's not a completely solid idea. There's some holes you can poke in this, but it's not entirely impossible is the point I'm trying to get across, because of this new information we have from Worlds. It is by no means confirmed that this is Olympus in the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, but it is a very dark place, which would fit the underworld, and I would argue that this fire looks a lot more like Hades' fire than anything else. Plus, the character speaking sounds like Hades, and they sound somewhat upset, which we know Hades goes from blue to red when he gets angry. You can see how we get to that conclusion. Plus, from Dark Road, we now know that you are able to talk to dead characters through the underworld, regardless of the world they die in. So this is probably going to be a way for Donald and Goofy to find out that Sora isn't quite, well, dead, but just not here. So it makes sense for them to visit here, lore-wise. There's also another factor to consider, that Donald and Goofy and Mickey all were in Daybreak Town at one point in Union Cross. This is something that has happened in the past, so them showing up in Dark Road's timeline isn't too much out of the question. And I'm saying Dark Road's timeline, but based on the theory, it wouldn't even be that way. The idea is that because worlds are flowing at this sort of weird and bizarre pace, that somehow right after this scene in Dark Road, Hades interacts with Donald and Goofy from Kingdom Hearts 4. But of course, that would bring in a ton of other questions that I don't even think I have the capability to explain. That brings up the possibility of when young Xehanort visits Olympus Coliseum in Dark Road, that possibly events in Cage 2 or 3 other games have maybe already happened, or maybe they're happening in some weird order. This theory gets really bizarre. But the idea that Hades recognizes whoever this person is do make Donald and Goofy some interesting candidates. And this is some sort of prediction for what the future story may hold as far as Disney Worlds go, as far as how worlds work. We are in for some more mind loopy stuff. That's the phrase I'm gonna use for it, mind loopy, yes. That's just the gist of it though, of what I'm thinking regarding this theory. Since it's a scene that was very much so not explained or elaborated on, it could be a couple of people. It could just simply be Baldur after the encounter with Bragi. It could indeed be Donald and Goofy, which would put all world timelines in question. Or it could also be Maleficent, which I think is a decent possibility. But for that same reason that Donald and Goofy being there would be weird, Maleficent being there would cause many questions as well. But My brain is pretty much fried. There are a lot of possibilities with this, and the fact that this scene was even left like this and not explained in the game is very bizarre. So there is something going on here. If you have any thoughts about this or have any ideas to further expand upon this theory or debunk it for that matter, type them down below, feel free. I definitely want to turn this into a big discussion as I do think there might be something here. Vanitas is darkness in one of the most literal ways possible. Vanitas is an extremely popular Kingdom Hearts character, and he has a very cult-like following similar to other characters like Roxas, Xion, Aqua, Riku. I mean, it makes sense too, because the way he was introduced to us was that he was basically an evil Sora. We knew he was darkness, we knew he was the dark part of Ventus's heart, at least that's what they kind of insinuated, or rather what we assumed for the longest time until the Kingdom Hearts Key Saga came into play. But it was actually revealed during Kingdom Hearts Dark Road a couple of years ago in a cutscene during Birth by Sleep time where Xehanort is actually having a very confrontational moment with Vanitas, where Xehanort is talking about a bunch of stuff that is crazy that he knows about. Like, he knows about how all of the darknesses were trapped and how a lot of the darknesses were quote-unquote defeated or trapped in Daybreak Town, though he knows they're going to return eventually, how the Lost Master's disappearance might be associated with this. He basically lore dumps Vanitas on a lot of events that happened during the Kingdom Hearts Key days before Dark Road, and then basically talks about how Vanitas did not come from Ventus's heart, despite Vanitas pretending that he did. Vanitas actually was just pulled out of Ventus. Vanitas is not Ventus's darkness. He was just sitting inside of Ventus's heart for a really long time. A cutscene we got an extension of in Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind where he also says this. Now, at that time, we did not know what this fully meant. A lot of people assumed, or a lot of people theorized, that Vanitas was darkness, which did turn out to be true, but rather Vanitas is part of a hive mind that is darkness, or darknesses. These being the main villains of Kingdom Hearts, I'm going to assume, after the Lost Masters. I think we're going to have a little bit of a turmoil, a confrontation with the Lost Masters, which is eventually going to conclude with us kind of being on their side, or rather coming together to fight a greater evil in the darknesses. This is part of the Master's plan in general, but I have a feeling that this conflict is going to turn into an all-out battle where we side with basically everyone from Kingdom Hearts and fight like these beings. These are the series-ending villains, I feel like. Nomura last year talked about how Kingdom Hearts 4 is a game being made in mind with the ending of Kingdom Hearts, which was very sad to hear, but hey, it has to happen one day. And I think the introduction of darkness is happening not too long before that interview in 2021 with Union Cross, 2022 bigger explanation in Dark Road. I definitely think these villains were made in mind to be the series ending villains. I mean, we've been fighting darkness throughout the entire Kingdom Hearts series, and now they introduced the core of darkness, the beings that sprout everything, that sprout all the darkness you see in the Realm of Darkness, in Traverse Town, these Heartless, all the enemies we fought throughout Kingdom Hearts, all our adversaries, you could say stem from these things, stem from their corruption and influence on the world. So this begs the question, because Vanitas is a very popular character, so there's a lot of people who want Vanitas to return in Kingdom Hearts 4, but will he return as Vanitas, or will we just return as one of these blobs of darkness that we see? I think it would be very interesting to see Vanitas and see that like version of darkness return. Vanitas no longer has a form. It's kind of hard to tell now because of the lore specifics of darkness kind of just being pulled out of Ventus's heart, because what's the vessel in this instance? Like, how is Vanitas able to have like a body? How is this darkness able to have a body? Vanitas took the form of Sora because Sora had made a connection with Ventus at the time, but it's hard to tell if this version of Vanitas counts as him having a form, because where did he get the form from? There could be a crazy oversight there on my end, but it's definitely not made visually like clear. So let's talk a little bit more about Vanitas in Kingdom Hearts 4, or darknesses returning in Kingdom Hearts 4 in that hypothetical. I actually think the darknesses might not make their appearance in KH4, at least yet. I actually think that the secret bosses of Kingdom Hearts 4 could potentially end up being maybe the Master or being the darknesses, because they would probably be the series ending villains. So I think whatever games come after Kingdom Hearts 4, whatever arc or saga in after Kingdom Hearts 4 will probably be when we see the Darknesses again. But I definitely think they're going to be referenced. I definitely think they're going to be talked about, but I don't know if we're going to see them or fight them in KH4. And then Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be very much so a game focused on Quadratum, focused on the Master, focused on the foretellers, and just following up off of the epilogue. And wherever it stems from that, maybe we'll see Darknesses, maybe we won't. But Nomura knows how popular Vanitas is. Like, it's actually really surprising. I would actually go out of my way to say Vanitas is as popular, if not more popular, than some of the Birth by Sleep characters. And it's just because he's seen as evil Sora. That's how he was introduced to a lot of people. Seeing that initial reveal of like Sora's face when he finally saw Vanitas' face was freaking crazy. And Haley Joel Osment obviously does a amazing job playing that character, playing that role. You could tell he's having a ton of fun with it. I believe there are some fans, there is some interest in Vanitas returning and kind of having his own little villain arc. We've had Vanitas as a villain from Birth by Sleep and Kingdom Hearts 3, but he's always playing the role of kind of like teasing Ventus, kind of pretending to be Ventus's other half, you know? But really, he is darkness, and maybe he just wants to eradicate a pure light in Ventus. And I think not only maybe continuing a version of that story, but having him kind of just go full like villain, super villain mode, and being this darkness like on par with the darkness who we saw basically single-handedly. This is the same darkness actually. This one darkness who is Vanitas apparently, this darkness single-handedly cooked every single Union leader except for Ventus because of some like pure light shenanigans. And admittedly, we don't know exactly how to power scale the Union leaders or old Keyblade wielders to ours. I'm sure they're going to make up some sort of like reason for why they might be like way stronger, at least for the foretellers, because they have to be formidable for us to like see them as villains or at least see them as antagonists for this arc. But the darkness is taking out multiple Keyblade wielders like at once. This one darkness doing that still shows like how powerful these things are. Like these things are maybe on par with the Master, because the Master was talking about in Union Cross how he had to run away from them. Like he's been fighting them basically his whole life, and this is the reason the Book of Prophecies and all these plans and him being so smart and doing all of this is why this is happening, because he wanted to run away from these things. So Vanitas like basically being unleashed, this darkness being unleashed, even if it's just one for now, and then like we beat him, we beat this like super villain version of Vanitas, and then we find out, okay, there's 6 more of these things, or at least 6 more of the strongest versions of these things. That could be cool. That could be a cool way to end off a game. That could be a sick way to just have the Guardians, have Sora just feel this like doom and gloom, and maybe to even expand upon that or go a different route. What if the Guardians are fighting darkness in the realm of light and Sora doesn't know about it, and because they're having so much trouble, this is like even more of a reason for why Sora needs to come back. He needs to come back, him and Riku, because 2 of some of their strongest Keyblade wielders being gone, being missing, and they have to fight these like crazy pure forms of darkness. It could just be an amazing story. It could be a very interesting story. It could be a very traumatic story like the Key Saga. And this is a lot of what I'm excited about for KH4. And Vanitas could be a key to all of this. Like, since Kingdom Hearts 3, we've been asking ourselves questions about the world of Quadratum, Verum Rex. These questions are undoubtedly going to be expanded upon in the future story, but perhaps to answer these questions, we have to go back to the very beginning. Well, almost. More like the ending of the beginning. The end of Kingdom Hearts 1. Now, before the iconic secret ending we know as Deep Dive would release, showing these mysterious characters in black coats with keyblades fighting Heartless and each other, we'd see a snippet of the very same animation, though this snippet was titled Another Side, Another Story. The ending of this snippet has something specific that is not in the Deep Dive animation. A short cut of a girl with long hair on an island looking out at the water. We thought at the time that we knew who this was, but do we actually? The series director of Kingdom Hearts, Tetsuya Nomura, back in 2002, didn't even want to reveal it himself, even despite how obvious the answer might have been at the time. In the Kingdom Hearts 1 Ultimania, he'd have an interview where he would be asked questions about who these 3 characters in the secret ending are, which he has a response that is shockingly relevant to the story in Kingdom Hearts, now. The interviewer would question, I would normally think that the three people in the secret ending are Sora, Riku, and Kairi, but who are they really? Is that so? I wonder if it's okay for me to say it. Well, there are several different meanings behind that, of course. There is also the image that comes after that. In the beginning, there are the words, another side, another story. You can interpret that saying this is a different story. Well, since everybody is having fun guessing who they are, I worry about revealing information. Another side, another story. That phrase encompasses the current storyline of Kingdom Hearts almost perfectly. Before we would learn about the world named Quadratum, this area was referred to theoretically as the other side by other characters.
However, if you arrive in a world that's neither of light nor darkness, but somewhere on the other side.
The other side of our world. Of reality. Unreality. A fictional world.
Now let's snap back to reality. At the time of 2002, this in my mind was 1000% meant to be Kairi. Kairi in a design that was not finalized, a teaser for older Kairi in Kingdom Hearts 2. Nomura likely did not want to reveal this because Kingdom Hearts was not at all confirmed to get a sequel yet, though that does not change the fact that this scene is now isolated and doesn't really have any relevance in current events, neither is it referenced, mentioned in really any way. So this scene stands alone amongst the countless scenes that have continuity in the Kingdom Hearts franchise. One of the series' favorite things to do is to go back and repurpose forgotten lore, forgotten scenes, and breathe life into it. I believe the same thing will happen with this forgotten scene from Kingdom Hearts 1. So let me ask you this question with that in mind. Who is this girl on the island? Yozora and Sora are theorized to be a type of parallel to one another, represented by them reciting the same lines in their secret endings. You can also compare this to that Verum Rex trailer from Kingdom Hearts 3. Sora in Kingdom Hearts 4 is trapped on the other side. He's going to be living here day to day for the time being until he finds a way out, learning plenty about the world along the way. This is our purpose in Kingdom Hearts 4. Our first time ever seeing this world was in a trailer for Verum Rex before entering Toy Box. The trailer revolved around a girl being saved. We don't know this girl's name, however, she is likely the girl Sora talked to in the final world, along with the girl Riku would use as a way to open a gate to Quadratum. We refer to this girl as the Nameless Star. If Yozora is a parallel to Sora, if Magia and Aegis are parallels to Donald and Goofy, would it be fair to say the Nameless Star is a parallel to Kairi, the Princess of Heart? Would that make this girl a sort of princess or some sort of royalty herself? That very likely seems to be the case. Of course, these are nothing but very loose parallels with no deeper confirmation other than a comparison between characters based on a writing dynamic with Sora and Yozora. Though coincidences in Kingdom Hearts are very often not left unexplained. But there's more questions to tackle for this to be something worth thinking about. First of all, why would this girl be on the island at any point in time? Well, this question leads to a lot of information we just don't quite have yet, but let's theorize based on what we know. Yozora is trying to save this girl in the Verum Rex trailer. If Yozora and Sora are two opposite sides of the same coin, then did they both have girls they were trying to save? The answer based on the trailer would be yes, they did. Though, how did the Nameless Star end up in our final world? Perhaps it has something to do with the same reason she's on what looks to be a version of Destiny Islands, which you might not know this, but apparently exist within the reality Quadratum is in. Through data mining and exploration of the area surrounding the 104 building, there was discovered a picture of Destiny Islands as an advertisement for traveling? This is perhaps one of the most bizarre things the community has discovered. The implications of this sort of thing are massive by itself, but since all we have is a picture of this for now, I won't get into the other stuff. Though if this cutscene was revealed to have been the Nameless Star all along, what exactly would change? Well, at a core level for the Kingdom Hearts series, it would not only change the perspectives of those who know this information, especially characters growing up on the Destiny Islands like Sora, Riku, and Kairi, but it also makes you question things about Destiny Islands as well. Destiny Islands is often referred to as a world of destiny. hence the name. A lot of characters who have been in this world or grew up on this world have had significant effects on the story. Xehanort, Sora, Riku, Kairi, all four would not only go on to be Keyblade wielders, but will be key parts in some way, shape, or form in almost every single Kingdom Hearts game after Kingdom Hearts 1. If this girl were to grow up on Destiny Island in some sort of way, maybe this was her life before becoming a princess or becoming royalty in Quadratum, what does that sort of thing mean for this reality? Destiny Island's lore by itself is also very iffy. It does not seem that the world itself is specifically tied to light or darkness either, hence being a world that a lot of important characters seem to be drawn to. This would lead into another question or theory about Destiny Islands perhaps being realmless in some sort of way, a in-between for every type of world, for every type of reality, but that's something extremely crazy to think about. Another side, another story. Another reality. I keep going back to these words because they represent so much of what's happening today. So it has me thinking, just how similar is this other side to ours? It'll sure be fun to see these answers unfold in the next saga, but I'll leave the rest of that discussion up to you. How do you feel about this cutscene being brought up for the future of the story? Do you buy it? How do you feel about Destiny Islands being a apparent world you can visit in Quadratum? Or do you think I've just been in my head too much? Tell me what you think down below. Kingdom Hearts fans and crazy theories sort of go hand in hand. It's only half the fun of being immersed in the Kingdom Hearts story, reacting to new reveals and talking about what could come next while trying to predict and analyze every twist and turn that could possibly happen along the way. I'd credit this for one of the biggest reasons the Kingdom Hearts community is so loyal to their franchise. People want to see their theories answered, whether they were right or wrong, or just overall what will or what could come next. Which brings us to today's discussion, the most popular theory in Kingdom Hearts. If you've been around the community for even just a couple of years, you'd already know what this is. Basically, anything surrounding the Master of Masters is of popular discussion with Kingdom Hearts fans, especially regarding his identity. The most popular being that our main character, Sora, is the Master of Masters. There has been a recent uptrend in this theory again as of late. So a few nights ago, on stream, we did a little bit of a deep dive and discussion about the Master of Masters, while reviewing this very interesting document I found attempting to detail everything regarding this theory, all the evidence, lots of notes, thoughts. It's a very good read. I won't go super deep into everything laid out in the document from this person's perspective, but I will link it down below for you to read yourself as I tackle some of the common key points and images that I found fascinating. I'll be breaking this down into a few sections, but if you enjoy Kingdom Hearts and theory talks like this, then hit that subscribe button down below and that bell icon so you can never miss another Kingdom Hearts video. First, let's talk about mannerisms, which I'll use this image here in the document for reference. The mannerisms argument has been around for a while, people calling back to scenes where the Master's mannerisms are very similar to characters we know today. This argument specifically was used a lot for Demyx in the early days of Kingdom Hearts 3's release, though it wasn't just physical movement similarities that people pointed out for Demyx, it was also the goofy personality Demyx portrayed that people thought was familiar to how the Master acted when he would joke around with his students. Aside from that, there was never really much to go off of with Demyx for that one, especially considering we don't have much to go off of with Demyx in general. We still haven't seen him in the Kingdom Hearts Key Saga yet as well, so he could pop up in Missing Link perhaps, though this mysterious nature around Demyx's identity is a motivator for why he could have had the ultimate surprise of being the Master. This image, I will admit, when I was reading this document, did make me think, like, okay, maybe they're onto something. I could sit here and nitpick little details about these images not being exactly the same, but my main thoughts about this image after processing for a bit is just that I don't think it's enough to point towards Sora being the Master. I do think these cutscenes being in the same game is very suspicious, however, and if they weren't in the same game, I'd be more inclined to not believe this or just blow it off completely, as I do partially think that almost any character with slightly more outgoing of a personality would have mannerisms similar to these in a JRPG. Though again, I think it's very suspicious that these poses are this similar while also being in the same game. although it being main game versus DLC. Personality wise, I don't see Sora being similar to the Master in that sense. I see the Master's personality in way more of a condescending and sarcastic goofiness compared to Sora's being more similar to a kid in a candy store being excited about everything and every new friend he meets. Which, to contradict that statement a little bit, I also don't think Sora is as goofy as the Master is. I find Sora's outgoing nature to be a lot more endearing and comforting rather than just being for the sake of it. There's definitely moments you can point to where Sora cracks a joke or is having fun, but I don't think in any Kingdom Hearts game really is he trying to be a comedian, which is something I'd say the Master is a lot closer to. The Master switches between being serious and funny almost like they're two different personalities, which is something Sora never really does. Minus maybe Dream Drop Distance, and I'd even slightly argue that, I think Sora is extremely consistent with how he can react towards things. Let's talk about more points though. This popular point being something I find the most interesting, the gazing eye. When we discovered that the gazing eye was the Master's way to see into the future, the community went crazy and it was kind of a full circle moment for some things. Finding all these Keyblades that had gazing eyes in them, trying to figure out just where the Book of Prophecies went up to, it was a fun time. The gazing eye, however, has made its way into being part of the evidence for Sora being the Master of Masters, which I do think is a little wild, but is not the most far-fetched thing at all. The gazing eye is a bluish color, and the document points out with multiple images that in Kingdom Hearts 3 there are an insane amount of zoom-ins on Sora's eye, which I cannot deny. Now this is a thing Kingdom Hearts has done for some time. The eye zoom-in isn't something unique to Kingdom Hearts 3. They typically did it often in the past to showcase characters connected to Xehanort. These were also hints they used to tease Xigbar being Lushu as well in previous games, though in KH3 it's kind of crazy how often they zoom in on Sora's eye or make Sora's eye kind of the focus of the image. I never would have thought it was teasing something bigger though, because most of these scenes aren't just completely random zoom-ins, they are often attempting to show an emotion Sora is feeling before they zoom out. The gazing eye to me originally did not look like a human eye. My guess would have been that it's some sort of spell the Master did, rather than him just walking around with one eye like Lushu over here. When I look deeper at the gazing eye, it may sound a bit odd, but it kind of looks to me like a black hole, with the universe and everything around it being sucked into it. Something that light can't even escape from. It's interesting because that's something that would be very thematic or on point for Kingdom Hearts, and could hint at the Master's or Darkness's overall goal. The big thing that I believe made this theory popular is a very bizarre glitch that happens during the Data Young Xehanort boss fight. During Young Xehanort's DM, if you go into photo mode as soon as possible, you can see Sora's eyes get bloodshot, and the emphasis on his eye becomes a lot more noticeable compared to normal. Sora's pupil does look more narrow here, and you could perhaps argue the eye has more texture here as well. Also, the fact that it happens while he is using his time powers is very bizarre and makes a lot of people think this was a very specific glitch or a very specific thing that happened in the game. However, while there would be questions that if this was a nod to Sora being the Master, then why not go all the way and make this even more similar to the gazing eye, not just slightly if it was intentional. However, this remains a very unexplained moment that happens during the data fight that I must admit is just extremely bizarre. Some of you who have been following me for a bit or who have been watching the videos so far may already know, but I'm not the craziest about Sora being the Master of Masters. My stance on it has changed slightly though. I used to be a lot more like, no, I don't want this to happen, this would ruin the series, etc. Nowadays, I'm a little bit more open to it, but conditionally. As in, based on the theories and the evidence and the foreshadowing that people are presenting now, if it were to happen, I don't know if I'd be a fan of it. But if from this point going forward, and I mean multiple games worth of solid build-up and anticipation, using Kingdom Hearts 3 as kind of a starting point for the foreshadowing, if off of this and multiple games into the future, they slowly start to build up Sora being the Master, eventually leading to a big reveal of some sorts, I could maybe tag along with it. I also don't mind or actively prefer the idea of Sora maybe being a sort of parallel to the Master, kind of like how Yozora is represented to almost be a parallel to Sora. The Master in this case would still be his own character, but it's in contrast to Sora's existence, rather than the Master just straight up being like a past or future version of Sora who went to the past, wrote the Book of Prophecies, and did all of this. The reason I'm so particular when it comes to this theory and kind of my judgment of it is Sora is my favorite character in like anything, just media period. So a drastic change or addition to his lore, like him being the Master of Masters, does sort of seem like it would take away from the Sora I've grown up with. I'm not along this ride with Sora to necessarily see him become the most powerful being in existence or anything like that. That's not the fulfillment I get out of Sora's character. Instead of being a kind-hearted kid who just wanted to save his friends on Destiny Islands, to being this being of manipulation and chaos that is the Master of Masters, even if it's in the future or the past, would be a lot to take in. I'm not against Kingdom Hearts evolving and taking different notes with its worlds, its characters, or its story, but Sora is one of those characters for me I don't really want to see change that drastically. I want to see him mature and grow, but if a plot twist as big as that were to happen, especially suddenly, it need to take a lot of build up and care for me to eventually be convinced of that idea. But I don't write the story for Kingdom Hearts. This is a popular theory for a reason. So perhaps Nomura does see this as a cool twist nowadays. And what bigger twist could happen in the Kingdom Hearts series than the main character, the focus point of the entire franchise, while turning out to be the conductor of this whole thing pretty much, being the master. I'm definitely going to be along for the ride no matter what happens. I'm sure this won't be the last time I talk about this theory either, as the longer they hold off on revealing who the master or what the master is, the stronger I think the Sora is the Master of Masters theories will be getting. What makes Kingdom Hearts 4 so intriguing is that we know nothing going into it. We can theorize, we can predict, we can speculate, but really we don't have a clue as to what's going to happen in Quadratum, what's going to happen with Yozora or the Masters or the Foretellers. There's so much mystery surrounding this new arc, and it's something that Kingdom Hearts hasn't truly had in a while. The ending of Kingdom Hearts 3 has potentially set up one of the series' biggest mysteries going into Kingdom Hearts 4, and perhaps one of Sora's greatest secrets that could change the course of everything in Kingdom Hearts 4 and how it ends. We're talking about this ending to Kingdom Hearts 3 where Xehanort concedes to Sora and gives him the Keyblade, saying, "Very well done." And through this, Sora would use the Keyblade to return everything to the way it was before Xehanort summoned Kingdom Hearts and bringing them back to the Realm of Light. What could have potentially resulted from this cutscene is something that has been speculated about for the past 6 years since Kingdom Hearts 3 released. Does Sora now wield the Keyblade? Is it just in his back pocket somewhere? Did Xehanort bequeath the Keyblade to Sora? If you're unfamiliar with the lore regarding the Keyblade, we don't know much ourselves, but what we do know is that the Keyblade is pivotal to summoning Kingdom Hearts, like we saw in Kingdom Hearts 3 and like we saw with the incomplete version of both in Birth by Sleep. And additionally, all Keyblades known in the Kingdom Hearts series were created in this Keyblade's image. We don't know what other powers the Keyblade could have, but we can assume that it's capable of everything our regular Keyblades are, and likely a lot more. If Sora was bequeathed the Keyblade, and he does wield it now or has the capability of doing so, this could be a major deal in Kingdom Hearts 4's story and how he finds his way back to the Realm of Light. And as we speculate more about this possibility, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more Kingdom Hearts videos like this one. Sora's path home is going to be a rough one. One of the biggest mysteries about Kingdom Hearts right now is the world of Quadratum, a realm, a type of society we have never seen or been to. And we don't even know if Sora has his memories. While we see him summon the Keyblade, we don't know if that's just instinctive or if he actually has recollection of what happened, which sets up the perfect narrative of Sora being a wielder of this Keyblade and not knowing it. The very thing that could bring him back, that could return him home, is something he has to find deep within his memories, which is something the Kingdom Hearts series is pretty familiar with, searching through characters' memories. We don't know the full potential the Keyblade has, but all we can really do is compare it to the ones that we already own. The Keyblade in Kingdom Hearts is essentially a tool that unlocks the latent potential in one's own heart. Through a lot of the Keyblade's abilities, you can do crazy things like time travel, potential. You can possess other people's bodies as vessels. Potentially infinite magic potential. You can seal away light and darkness, travel between realms, open portals. The Keyblades we have can already do a lot. And some of those things you don't even technically need a Keyblade for. So for the Keyblade, the one above all Keyblades, what more could it really do? Perhaps one of the big things that's beneficial to us is maybe it allows for the ability to travel between an area like Quadratum and our realm. Riku was only able to access this place because he was able to link the connection between someone's heart and the final world. It doesn't seem like most people can access this place, at least via normal means. So the Keyblade might be able to bypass that by a significant amount. There's also another aspect to Sora potentially wielding the Keyblade that could be significant to Kingdom Hearts 4's story. With the return of the Master of Masters and the Foretellers as seen in the epilogue, it wouldn't be surprising if somehow through their plans, Kingdom Hearts needs to be summoned again and used properly this time. And with the only weapon that's able to summon Kingdom Hearts being trapped in a world like Quadratum, Sora would need to be saved for a multitude of reasons. So maybe it's not just the Guardians who want to save Sora, maybe it's also the Master, maybe it's also the Foretellers who need him to return so that they can use the Keyblade, summon Kingdom Hearts, and eradicate darkness, perhaps as some sort of backup plan to the vessel plan the Master has for the Foretellers, or because of some means that we can't understand yet. But the Keyblade is a pivotal part in summoning Kingdom Hearts, and Sora having it would make that a big deal for it being trapped in Quadratum. I mean, who knows, maybe we're able to summon Kingdom Hearts from Quadratum. I think that would be a pretty interesting visual. Sora's path, Sora's return home, could very well be not to him being saved by Riku or being saved by another Guardian, but could be due to him unlocking his memories once again and using the Keyblade to create a path home. The Keyblade is definitely a dangerous weapon I want to imagine to just use casually. However, it is Sora, so you saw what he did with the power of waking. I wouldn't put it past Sora to use the Keyblade to somehow bring characters like Strelitzia back or bring Yozora to our realm somehow. Admittedly, I will say, something about Sora wielding the Keyblade just feels right. And I think Xehanort knew that, and if you've watched our previous theories about Xehanort, you would know that I do think he had another purpose, a purpose that we don't fully understand yet, but I think him giving this Keyblade to Sora, or him losing here, wasn't an accident. I think he knew that he would lose, and maybe it's for this very moment, this very scene, being able to summon Kingdom Hearts, being able to create the Keyblade, and giving it to Sora for what comes after. When I first heard these theories back when Kingdom Hearts 3 first came out about Sora potentially being the wielder of the Keyblade, I admittedly was very skeptical of it, and still am. I don't know if this is what happened here. I mean, it's vague. Sora could have very easily have lost the ability to use the Keyblade right after Kingdom Hearts 3. Maybe it was just a one-time instance, and when Kingdom Hearts goes away, maybe the Keyblade does as well. But these things aren't certain, and as some people have pointed out to me, Sora was never given a Keyblade. He was never part of a Keyblade ceremony, and if he was, this would be it. This is the closest thing to a Keyblade ceremony that Sora has participated in. I mean, you know, aside from him giving Jack Sparrow a Keyblade. The unknown entity that is Kingdom Hearts and the Keyblade, its guardian, are two very pivotal lore pieces for Kingdom Hearts. And if Kingdom Hearts is being made with its ending in mind now, with Kingdom Hearts 4 being the beginning of the end, I think it's going to be time that we finally get some answers about what the Keyblade is, what Kingdom Hearts truly is, and what they're really meant to be used for. And I'm sure characters like the Master of Masters probably has the answer to that. So even though it has been mentioned now, I do think we'll see Kingdom Hearts again, and I do think we'll see this Keyblade again, whether its powers benefit us or our enemies. I can't wait to see some of these questions answered in Kingdom Hearts 4. I'm so excited for this game, and a big part of that is because of its story and the mystery. Kingdom Hearts is coming to an end, but that doesn't mean anytime soon. It's just eventually going to happen. maybe even by the end of this decade. A few months back, the director of Kingdom Hearts, Tetsuya Nomura, was interviewed by Young Jump magazine. In this interview, he mentioned that he was going to retire soon, and with this, the ending of the Kingdom Hearts series has come up in discussion. The big takeaway from this interview is that Kingdom Hearts 4 is being created with the ending of Kingdom Hearts in mind. This is a huge reality check for fans because Kingdom Hearts has been going on since many of us were kids, but as the saying goes, all good things must come to an end, at least at some point. I take this as an even greater reminder to really enjoy what's coming next and really cherish it, because Kingdom Hearts is probably not going to be around for much longer, at least in the same way it was before. So what does Kingdom Hearts ending actually look like, and when does that happen if not with Kingdom Hearts 4? Some predict that maybe we're looking at another trilogy of numbered titles, Kingdom Hearts 4, 5, then 6, ending off the franchise. Or maybe after Kingdom Hearts 4 we just get a Verum Rex type game, and then Kingdom Hearts 5 to end off the series at the 5th numbered title. It's all purely speculative, seeing as we're still waiting to even see Cage 4's second trailer. Though today I thought it'd be fun to speculate a little bit about what Kingdom Hearts' ending looks like and what those possibilities are. And as we dive right into this, make sure to subscribe if you like Kingdom Hearts and want to be updated on all new things happening with the series. So let's be honest, Kingdom Hearts hasn't always been known for having the most conclusive of endings. Kingdom Hearts endings typically wrap up their own individual game stories, but while simultaneously setting up the next ones. But if there is no next game, then what does a Kingdom Hearts ending really look like? Even in the most conclusive of series endings in Kingdom Hearts 2, there's many mysteries that still remain about the Nobodies, much of Organization 13, and the true power of the Keyblade and its wielders. But this isn't a negative, it's actually more of a plus for Kingdom Hearts that manages to have amazing stories while still keeping you guessing about what's next. Even the very first Kingdom Hearts game was created with these elements of mystery added to it, even though back then they had no idea if Kingdom Hearts 1 would be successful enough to even get a sequel. I bring up these points to say that Kingdom Hearts 4 may not have an ending that wraps up everything. While its goal should definitely be to wrap up most major plot points, there still will likely be many mysteries left remaining, some we probably haven't even seen yet from the new saga. Nomura loves to write his games this way, because he loves seeing fans speculate and make theories regarding his titles, so perhaps a ending that is true to Kingdom Hearts still remains vague and mysterious like the series has always been. Now, truthfully, an ending that still leaves questions doesn't sound the most appealing on paper, so maybe an all-out conflict to end things off is more fitting. The current Kingdom Hearts story set up through Kingdom Hearts Union Cross and Dark Horse finales is preparing for an all-out conflict with not just the Lost Masters, but the series' longest running antagonist, Darkness. Darkness in its purest form is returning in Kingdom Hearts, and we saw how they destroyed an entire line of Keyblade wielders in Union Cross, and has even given the Master of Masters some trouble in the past, seeing as his entire plan spanning across timelines is for the purpose of defeating them. I'm predicting that Kingdom Hearts' final climax could be a true Keyblade war, an all-out battle with hundreds of Keyblade wielders, allies, and enemies across all time periods, dishing it out for one final war to defeat Darkness, once and for all. You may wonder how this is even possible, but it's actually mentioned in Union Cross that technically there's a data copy of every Keyblade wielder that was alive during Daybreak Town. So theoretically, it is possible to bring some of these wielders back for a big fight, though there's probably other means of doing this as well. In a series about light and darkness, I can't imagine what gets much bigger than defeating literally the purest form of darkness. So you could say the introduction of the Darknesses in Union Cross was a teaser that we were heading towards the end to begin with. Now, this next thought about the ending to Kingdom Hearts is something a lot less happy or even climactic, but more bittersweet. What if Sora never returns to his world? Maybe he decides to stay in Quadranum himself and live out a semi-normal life. Now, this may not be in character for Sora, some would say, but is it really? As badly as Sora wants to be with his friends, Sora has also been shown to be content as long as he knows everyone is safe. So if he knew that everyone would be more safe with him staying in this world, then maybe he would end up staying. This story and build up to Sora making this decision could have a lot to do with Yozora and Versus 13 elements Nomura may mix into the story. Noctis at one point was one of Nomura's most beloved characters and likely still is, as he's living on through the creation of Yozora, some would say. So both of Nomura's favorite characters kind of riding off into the sunset just might be the perfect way for Nomura to say goodbye to those characters as he retires from the industry. I don't know if they'd actually go this route, but it's possible. The Kingdom Hearts series ending is still a long ways away. Even with Nomura mentioning his retirement, we know that he is still working on Kingdom Hearts 4 and Part 3 to Final Fantasy VII Remake. And Kingdom Hearts 4 isn't even going to be the last game in the Kingdom Hearts franchise, just being made with the ending in mind. So we could still be getting a Kingdom Hearts Verum Rex, a Kingdom Hearts 5, or however many games until Nomura finally decides to hang up his boots. We're still entering a new saga for Kingdom Hearts that is only like halfway started, the official beginning of it being Kingdom Hearts 4, and we have no idea how long this saga is going to go on for, but based on these comments, I don't think it's going to go on as long as the Dark Seeker saga did. So we'll likely see a lot less titles, but those fewer titles will likely be much bigger games. Regardless of how close or how far the ending may be, I will be there. This series and this community has done so much for me in my life. This channel being a big part of that, yes. But even before I made this channel, just growing up with the series as a little kid, those cheesy messages about friendship and the heart and light really stuck with me more with this series than any other media made it. And still to this day, I find myself loving this series and loyal to this franchise because I feel like it gave a lot to me back when I was a kid and still gives a lot to me now. Sometimes during the darkest of days in my life, like Kingdom Hearts has been there. Kingdom Hearts was something that I would be looking forward to. I remember there were definitely days where I was not the best mentally and I would just be telling myself, man, I gotta be around when Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to release. There's just not enough ways I can say thank you to it. We're definitely still a long way from the ending, I think, but just the thought of it now is definitely something to think about. Overall, I think Kingdom Hearts does have many possibilities for what its ending could look like for the actual game. Though, if you ask me personally which one I'm banking on, I actually think Kingdom Hearts is likely to end on a high note. This is a Disney game after all at the end of the day, so I think the ending will be a happy one while reiterating the message this series started with being a story about the heart and connecting with others. I think all possibilities mentioned today can still end on that note. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching and being around on this Kingdom Hearts journey with me. It's not ending anytime soon, but still, just saying it while we still can. Share with me some of your thoughts about this topic. And remember to be nice, be safe, and take care, everyone.
Well, there is one advantage to being me. Something you can never imitate.
Really? What's that?
Having you for a friend.
Then I guess I'm okay the way I am. I've got something you could never imitate too.